Welcome to the Aviation Insurance Podcast, the podcast that helps aircraft owners and aviation businesses learn and understand the complex world of aviation insurance and risk management. From the basic principles of aviation insurance to risk management techniques and updates on the aviation insurance market, the Aviation Insurance Podcast is your guide to traverse the world of aviation insurance. Now, here's your host, Tim Bonnell.
Well, welcome to the Aviation Insurance Podcast, a podcast where we talk about the fundamentals in aviation insurance. And we spend a lot of time talking about insuring the assets and the liability of an aircraft owner or aviation business. And today I want to talk a little bit more about the insurance considerations for pilots. Now, we've talked about, pilots who own aircraft. We've talked about pilots using non-owned aircraft, whether that's CFIs or renters or borrowing. And we've talked about things that they need to do to make sure they're covered while operating the aircraft. But there's more personal considerations that every pilot really has to think about by being a pilot and operating an aircraft. The first thing I want to talk about is life insurance, because life insurance is something everyone needs. In the event of a loss, there is always final expenses. Maybe there's debt to be paid. Maybe there's all kinds of issues and needs for life insurance. And that's really an individual issue. That's a personal financial thing, but pretty much everyone needs life insurance, at most points in their life. And what we'll find is that many life insurance companies will have an exclusion for loss of life due to piloting an aircraft. Riding in an airline is something else, but being a pilot in an aircraft, there is often an exclusion pretty regularly in a life insurance policy. In fact, if you've got a life insurance policy now, whether that's a term, meaning it's good for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, or whether it's a whole life policy, you either had to fill out a pilot questionnaire or a pilot history form, or you didn't. If you didn't, there's a really good chance that your life insurance policy would not be valid in the event that you lose your life due to an aviation piloting accident. So it's really important that you obtain life insurance, and then if you already have, to ensure that you are covered in the event that that you are fatally injured in an aviation accident while piloting that aircraft. And then if not, to be sure that you obtain life insurance that covers you while you are piloting aircraft. Again, there are different life insurance carriers. They will insure pilots, but typically they need to know what you're doing. They will typically require a pilot questionnaire to determine where they feel, the best rates and the best fit for the different insurance companies. So life insurance is a big deal. Most people don't know that most life insurance policies will exclude piloting activities or fatal injuries due to piloting an aircraft. And so make sure pilots buy life insurance that covers you and verified in writing when you are piloting an aircraft. Now, the second thing I want to talk about a little more in depth is really a bigger concern to professional pilots that make their living by flying aircraft. And that is what's called kind of a loss of license. It's really a loss of medical insurance. It's effectively a form of disability insurance. Many airlines and really large corporations offer this via a group plan, but it can be purchased individually through a few providers, a few, I should say. And what this basically says that is if you lose your medical, you lose your ability to fly for a living because a medical issue has invalidated your ability to fly, it will pay you a form of disability, either a monthly amount or a lump sum. It just depends on the policy. To help you replace that income when you are disabled via not having a medical required to operate an aircraft as a pilot on a commercial basis. So it does not apply if you have an egregious violation that causes the FAA to revoke your license, but it does provide some, like I said, disability type insurance in the event an aviation medical examiner by the FAA revokes your medical due to a medical issue. So again, pilot loss of license, really pilot loss of medical coverage is a great coverage to have if you make your living flying aircraft in whole or in part, if that's a income you count on. So we talk a lot about insuring assets, but the pilots we have our own concerns, right? We want to make sure that our families, our estates, whatever it might be, aren't left strapped with taxes or debt in the event of our demise in an aircraft crash. We want to make sure our life insurance is purchased and that it covers us while we're flying. And if we make our living by flying aircraft, we want to make sure that in the event we have a medical issue that causes us to lose our medical, that we can replace that income with this pilot loss of medical, pilot loss of license type of coverage. So those are some insurance considerations for pilots personally dealing with their own income and their own financial affairs. So that's it for this episode. Join us again next time as we continue navigating the waypoints in aviation insurance. Until then, enjoy clear skies and unlimited visibility.
Thanks for listening to the Aviation Insurance Podcast. If you found this episode of value, please share it with someone who would benefit from this information. Don't forget to subscribe in your podcast player so you don't miss any new episodes, and to help our show have more impact. This episode is brought to you by Aeris Insurance Solutions, your flight plan for navigating the turbulence of aviation insurance. For more information, visit aerosinsurance.com. That is www.aerisinsurance.com. Disclaimer: these episodes are for educational purposes only, and due to the changing regulatory and legal nature of the business, some information may change over time. Having a well-educated and experienced aviation insurance broker on your team is an absolute requirement to success in business and for managing your aircraft and aviation business risks.